So listen, I want to go ahead and dive in here in just a moment. I'm going to be talking to you about defeating if only, all right? And listen, let's think about that for a second. So what do I mean by defeating if only? So just think about in your own life about how many times you've said, if only I had more money. If only I would have gotten that promotion at work. If only I wouldn't have dropped out of school. And you could go on, right? If only, I would have married this person, or if only I wouldn't have gotten a divorce. So many different things. We live in that world. And so I want to talk to you tonight about how to get out of that cage, because I believe that if only mindset is like this cage we put on ourselves, and it creates this ceiling in our life. And I want to help you to break out of that. And I'm going to share with you tonight 3 weapons that I believe that will help you, because they've helped me. So when I get in that mindset of if only, these are the things that I have practiced and instilled, and they've helped me to kind of break out of that cage. So I'm going to share with you these 3 weapons on how you can defeat if only as well. So we're going to get rolling here. So if you want to follow along, I know Kevin will be giving us some notes, but here's the first one. The first weapon to defeat if only is this: embrace discipline. Let me repeat myself. If you want to defeat if only, you got to learn to embrace discipline in your life. You got to look at discipline as an ally and not an enemy against you. You got to look at it as a friend, okay? So discipline, because see, when you discipline yourself, it really, it mitigates that power of if only, because you're taking some control back. You're not being defeated by if only, you're defeating if only through disciplines in your life. Now, there could be a number of different disciplines. Here's 3 that I've found to be helpful with me, all right? So the first one is, again, the first weapon to defeat if only is discipline, making discipline an ally or a friend. So let me give you some examples in my life, what I would call disciplines that have helped me in this area, okay? Here's the first one. It would be in the area of planning, taking control of your calendar, your schedule, okay? And you own that versus just every day show up and whatever happens, happens. That's kind of that if only mindset there versus, you know what? I'm going to be disciplined enough to plan my day to be as effective as I possibly can. So that would be one of those disciplines. Another discipline for me would be in the area of study and getting and improving. So studying and improving, okay? So I build that into most of my days, certainly on a weekly basis. I want you to think about this. If you'll just work on that discipline that you're going to take time every week to study or work on something that you're improving yourself, and the compound effect of that over a number of years, you're taking control. You're getting out of that cage of this if only. You've got to defeat if only. And one of the ways you defeat if only is that you have to embrace discipline. You do that through planning. And the second, you do it through study and improvement. And the third thing, very practical, but you've got to be disciplined in the area of exercise and eating healthy. If you're not exercising, you're not going to be in the shape and the energy and feel as good about yourself. And I'm not saying you have to run a marathon, but just what you can do. And some of you are older like me, and you may be very limited. Some of you are much younger, and you can do a lot more. But you need to build that discipline in your life and make it something that you just don't start and stop. But it's just who you are and what you're about. So do something exercise-wise that's sustainable. And the same thing going with your eating healthy, okay? Something that is not so restricted, you're miserable, but something you can do and have some splurges along the way. It's all right to do that. And listen, I can definitely improve in those areas, but I try to live a pretty healthy life when it comes to exercise and eating. So listen, if you want to defeat if only, the first weapon is discipline. It's a friend. It's not your enemy. But can I tell you something? I'm just going to be transparent with you. When I get up early in the morning to go work out, I never feel like doing that. But I've learned to say, you know what, this discipline thing that's pulling me to go work out, it's my friend. It's not my enemy. It's my ally. So I need to see that as a way to defeat if only. So again, if you're following along, and Kevin will keep posting these, is that the first weapon to defeat if only is discipline. Make it a friend. And I share with you 3 examples. There's several others, but those are 3 that you could practice right off. And here's the thing. This is what I found through the years. Successful people are willing to do things that unsuccessful people aren't willing to do. That's what separates the successful people from unsuccessful people. Their actions, their attitudes, and their disciplines. That's what it is. Successful people are willing to do things that unsuccessful people are just not willing to do. So again, that's the first one. The second weapon to defeat if only is this. Hope you're following along here. All right. Second is this. You've got to eliminate doubts and doubters. Eliminate doubt and doubters. I was reading something just in the last week or two, and it was kind of fascinating to me. But in this book that I was reading, it said that people are have innately born with two different fears. Okay? So you might be interested in this. The two fears that everybody's born with is the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. Now, you probably have more fears than that. I know I do, but it means that we've learned those fears over time. So think about that. If you have the fear of failure, it's not something built into you. It's something you've learned, maybe through how your parents treated you or a teacher treated you, whatever it may be. Or maybe you're a perfectionist and so fear is just not acceptable to you. But we've learned those. And now here's the key thing here. If you've learned those fears, you can also unlearn those fears. But listen, when you have doubts and doubters, it creates fear in your life. And when you have fear, it's like paralysis. You don't do anything. You're not willing to take chances. So we're born with a couple of fears. We got to figure out a way to get rid of that. The majority of doubts are unfounded. Now let me say that again. The majority of doubts, and we all have a certain amount of doubts, but you cannot let that neutralize you. You won't be able to defeat if you have those doubts hanging over you. But the majority of doubts are unfounded. And self-doubt will cause a lack of confidence, procrastination. It leads to fear, as I've already mentioned. And you're certainly going to be much more averse to risk if you let that hang over you. If you have self-doubt, why would you try to do something if you have self-doubt? I'm not good enough. I could never do that. You could go on and on. And listen, you know about that voice in your head, right? The voice that tells you you're not good enough. Let me just tell you, you need to eliminate that voice. You need to eliminate the doubters in your life. And some of the doubt is self-doubt again. We bring it on ourselves. But let me tell you, that's going to hold you back. So if you want to defeat if only, you've got to eliminate doubt and doubters. Doubts are negative belief. It's a negative belief that you're not good enough. Okay, let me tell you a little secret. You're good enough. You got to believe that. And I'm not saying be arrogant, not be cocky, but be confident. And when you build in that discipline in your life, it helps you to be more confident in yourself because you've already prepared to be successful every day. If you will plan every day, take time to study and exercise and eat, you've already had a successful day. You're already a success. You're already good enough. So don't let those doubts and doubters creep in. Don't listen to your doubters. Just don't listen to them. You know, I was reading about Oprah Winfrey, and many of you know about Oprah. She's been super, super successful. But one of her doubters, an old boss of hers, said she was unfit for TV news. Now, what if Oprah would have listened to that person and took heed of that and said, I could never do it? Don't listen to your doubters. Harrison Ford, one of my favorite actors, famous in Indiana Jones, many others. He was in Star Wars, one of the original characters there. You know, he had a studio boss told him that he was never going to make it in this business and that he should just forget about it. You know, maybe 100 movies later, right? Don't listen to your doubters. You got to go with the goers and you got to leave the doubters behind. So let me do a little quick recap. Okay, we're talking about defeating if only in your life. And I'm going to share with you these three weapons. The first weapon is embrace discipline. Make it a friend. I gave you some examples there. Will be in the notes. The second, you've got to eliminate doubt and doubters. Don't listen to those voices. Don't believe it for a moment. All right? And here's the third one. The third weapon is this. You've got to You've got to enlarge your dreams. Whatever your dreams are, you've got to make them bigger than that. We tend to play it safe. Listen, I'm not saying you need to just risk everything, but I want to challenge you. Wherever you are right now in the way of dreaming, having a dream about something, I'd love to do this. I want you to double it. I want you to really step that up. Don't let other people's thoughts about you, don't let other people's dreams take over your dreams. I want to encourage you, enlarge your dreams. Live a life of no regret. Go for it, okay? Now, that may lead you to start a business that you've always wanted to do. It could lead you to write a book, okay? Listen, that was a dream, to write a book, and Cindy and I have written several books together. But listen, we had people saying, what are you doing? That's so hard to do, or most books don't sell. We've sold tens of thousands of copies of books between us when most books don't sell but a few hundred. But we went for it. We went for that dream. We enlarged our dream. We went bigger than we thought. We had to get other people involved, right? We had to market it. We had to get some other people that could write better than us to be involved in doing that. But we enlarged our dream. We didn't want to just go for it small. We went for it bigger, right? And we didn't just write one book, we wrote multiple books, okay? That's what I'm talking about, enlarge your dream, okay? And listen, sometimes it's not going to work out. Sometimes you may fall on your face, but it doesn't mean you stop there, okay? So those are some things related to enlarge your dreams. You got to figure out, what are you willing to take a chance for? What's really important to you versus having something on your heart, having a dream and never doing it because you're afraid that you may fail. Don't do that. Now listen, you may need to study more. You may need to save more money. You may need to get yourself ready to launch that larger dream. But I want to challenge you to enlarge your dream. So let me go back over again. If you want to defeat if only, and let me tell you, this is what I've used in my life. These weapons are the very weapons I've used to defeat if only in my life. The first one, again, is to do this. It is to embrace discipline. Make it a friend, an ally, not an enemy. Second, eliminate doubt and doubters. Don't hang out with those folks. Go with the goers, leave the doubters behind. Don't let self-doubt hold you back. And then number 3, enlarge your dreams. Whatever it is now, enlarge it. Double it from where it is now. All right? Now maybe that will help you. If that will help you, I'm thankful for that. See, I want to remind you, I want to encourage you. I want to empower you to live, lead, and finish well. That's my purpose in life. That's what I enjoy doing. And part of the theme behind all of our Facebook Lives are to help you lead yourself well. We want to do that. We want to help you lead yourself well. So hopefully this has been helpful to you. Now, I've had a couple questions that came in earlier, and let me just share those with you. So here's the first one. What are some examples of what successful people do? Okay, so let me connect it to, again, the if only concept. So I would say this. They take extreme ownership and they make no excuses. They don't blame other people. They own it. They take extreme ownership. Okay, that's what successful people do. Unsuccessful people blame it on others. They make excuses. Another thing people that are successful do, examples, they don't give up on a dream easily. If it's really a dream and your heart is set on it, don't quit easy. Now, at some point you might have to, but man, give it your best. Persevere. Persist to the end on that. Another thing I would suggest is, my kids can tell you they heard this 100 times from me. Pay now, play later. Pay now, play later. See, I dropped out of college. I went back when I was 28 years old, so I could live that message before them. I said, kids, had I gone to college like I should have rather than dropping out, and rather than completing my college degree, now here I am going back and I got a couple kids, I can hang out with you a lot more. So I learned that lesson. I'm a pay now. I'm getting up in age. I'm still paying because I want to benefit for the long run. Pay now, play later. And then successful people, they don't just do what's required. They don't just do what's on the job description. They're above and beyond. They're a whatever it takes person. I want to exceed what the expectations are. You're not going to have higher expectations from me than I'm going to have for myself. They're that kind of person. That's the kind of people you want to work with. That's the kind of people you want to hang out with. That's the kind of people you want to hire. That kind of person. They're going to go above and beyond. They're going to exceed your expectations. So those are a few things that, to me, are examples of successful people. Now, here's another question. What if you dream big or have a big goal and you go for it, but you fail? Now, listen, that can happen. Have I had some big dreams and went for it and failed? Yep, sure have. It wasn't fun. It was painful. But let me just tell you something. Big goals are meant to stretch your thinking. All right? Big goals are meant to stretch your thinking. If you have little goals, you're not going to stretch your thinking because you can do what you've been doing plus maybe a little bit more. But when you have big goals, when you enlarge your dreams, it challenges you to think outside the box. That's a good thing. And even if it doesn't go well, there's so much benefit. Even if you stretch your thinking, you don't hit your goal or you don't achieve your dream, what did you learn from that experience? How can you make that better in the future? And I tell you what, some of you have heard me say this, pain is a great teacher, is it not? Pain is a great teacher. When you go through a painful experience, you'll do whatever you can to avoid that from happening again. You just will. So when you go through that pain, you say, I don't want that to happen again. How can I learn to make sure I don't experience that hurt, that pain again? So again, you're going to make it better. You're going to learn from it. You're going to improve it, and then you can execute it better the next time. It may take you 2, 3, 4, the 10th time before you knock it out of the park, but you make it better the next time. So that's a couple questions that came to me tonight. So again, if only. I want you to defeat if only. And listen, it's a bear. It's always out there, right? But we got to keep it at bay. If not, it will put us in this cage, and it really limits what we can accomplish in life. And so I shared with you tonight these three weapons to defeat if only. And it should be in the notes, but just a quick recap is that you have to embrace discipline, eliminate doubt and doubters, number 2, and number 3, enlarge your dreams. Now, I want to ask you something. Which one of these 3 speak to you the most? All right, I'd like for you to just post it. I'd just be curious. See, when you give me some feedback, it really helps me on what type talks to do in the future. One of the gentlemen that usually watches, he may be on tonight, he made a good suggestion to me about doing a case study of working with organizations to see them turn around. So I'm going to be working on like a 3 or 4 part series on, kind of a turnaround story, doing a case study and giving some real live examples of how they went from maybe not being effective, not having a good culture, and how making recommendations and advising them, they were able to turn some things around. So your feedback is valuable to me. It helps me to get better. And I'd like to know which one of these 3 out of these weapons really speaks to you, that you can really say, man, I need to pay attention to that. And then whatever your biggest takeaway is tonight, if you do that, whatever the biggest one that we see, we'll send that back out and post it as a quote and give you credit for that. And then I would just ask you again, if this has been helpful to you, I want to encourage you to share it with some others. If you would do that, that would be fantastic. Now listen, again, the theme of these Facebook Lives is to lead well. I want to lead well, and when I lead myself well, I can lead others well. I want to encourage you. To lead yourself well. And I'm going to be leading myself well. I want you to be leading yourself well until next week when we join back together for another Facebook Live. Thanks for joining me tonight.